Hello, everyone. This is Oral Radio, and I'm Ayish.
And I'm Raaya. Welcome to Teens Connect episode 16. Today our guest is Udayan Philip.
Hi, Udayan. Welcome to Teens Connect.
Thank you.
Udayan, would you please tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. I've been in Audible for the last 6 months, been volunteering with Matram, a mental health organization. I'm a psychologist by profession. I also coach Ultimate Frisbee, and I was the national coach at some point. I enjoy cycling, I enjoy working with students, and I like good pizza.
What made you want to get into psychology?
So in school, I was a science student. I was actually studying chemistry. 3 months before my board exam, I went to my teacher and told them, listen, this is really hard. I've been struggling with chemistry. Can I please drop the subject? And she looked at me and said, are you mad? The exams are in 3 months. I said, yeah, but I've tried everything. And I like psychology because it sounds interesting. So she said if I pass an exam that I studied for in a week and if I score 60%, then she will allow me to take the subject. So for that week, I studied a lot and just to escape chemistry. I got psychology, and ever since then, that was the beginning of my journey in learning more about the subject. That led to many smaller choices in life. I never imagined myself being a psychologist, but then through my different work experiences, I realized I enjoy working with teenagers, with students, and I enjoy understanding people. That's what led to the psychologist profession.
If about your younger self, if there was like any piece of advice you could choose to give your younger self, what would it be? And please no, invest in Bitcoin.
Hmm. Younger self. I would tell my younger self. I would think I would just assure my younger self that the way life is going is pretty good, and I don't have to really significantly change anything, and to follow my intuition more and make choices that align with what I believe in.
So, since we're talking about you in your childhood,
Mm.
what was your dream job, like favorite job when you're a child?
Favorite job? I think as a kid, I wanted to be an inventor. That was something that interested me. Uh, yeah, but I didn't really have um, I think I changed that into trying to invent ideas and not things. So yeah, inventor was a job, but I didn't really have a dream job. I saw it more of like doing things that I like and enjoy, and that leading to a job rather than thinking of this is where I want to be and this is how I want to get there.
Um, if we're talking about your student days,
Mm.
what would you consider? Would there be a difference compared to how school was during when you were young, or and compared to how school is now when we're in our eighth grade, seventh grade?
Mm. Differences. I think in many ways it's similar. There's still a lot of joy and fun and chilling with friends. I feel like a lot of school is about building personality through the fun stuff we do, which we don't really realize, but it's actually automatically doing something to our psyches, how we connect to people, how we are there for people. And then the academics and the learning happens in parallel. I think the differences would be like, of course, the use of phone and technology is like so strong now, and then there's a lot of focus um, on how I want to be represented online. What kind of image do I want to put up for myself? Um, but yeah, I don't see so many differences, and I'm not that old, guys. That this was so long ago.
Yeah. If you could give a piece of advice to current day students,
Yeah.
what would that piece of advice be?
It would be it's a good one. Give me a moment to think about it. Mm, I'd say value your mental health, even though it's invisible, things that you don't really see or notice, and be inclusive with people, even if you don't really like them. Everybody has a story, so try to see what the story is, and that will help you be more accepting.
Did you expect Orwell to take a big part of your life or like small part?
Hmm. I would say it took a small part, but it had a big impact because it's only been a short while that I've been here, but it's really helped me shift how I see the world, how I think about uh, my own life. My relationship with money has shifted, and it's made me realize that I can be more slow and not have to be so productive and don't have to really grind it out and put in so much, and that quality is important rather than trying to do a lot. Do a little and do that well. So yeah, I didn't expect this to happen, and it's been, I'm really happy all will happen to me.
Oh, like how different is Orwell from like the outside world, the city life?
Hmm. Well, it is Orville is more beautiful, much more calm. There's lots of peace. It's less rushed. Um, the community is much tighter. It's a small world. Everywhere you go, you see somebody you know. Um, and it's got this thing about it's, yeah, like there's some energy or something there that that makes me want to stay. It's something different from city life. In city life, I feel we're always doing things in a routine kind of way, and over here, there's more variety of choices of what we can do, and there's something for everybody. Everybody can find their niche or their liking and join a community that aligns with them.
So like what kind of personality or what kind of person were you or like before you came to Orwell? Like a busy person, now you're easy or like
Yeah, I think you've identified it pretty well. I was like doing a lot in the day. I would go to school, I would come back and I'd be so tired, and then I would, you know, do things for my family. I would spend some time with my wife, sometimes occasionally cook, but I would feel very like tired at the end of the day. And now I feel I'm much more relaxed and I'm much more at peace. There's more ease in my life, and um, there's more um, there's more depth. It's not so much of doing a lot of things, but doing it in a slower way.
How did you find out about Orville? Like, what made you want to come here?
Mm. Well, I opened the map and I just put my finger somewhere and I was like, let's go there. No, that's not what happened, but it's something like that because I am married to somebody who grew up in and outside Oroville. She lives in Bomayapalem. Her parents have a house here, and we both decided to take a gap year from our jobs and just come here and take some time off. And I strongly believe that everyone should take two gap years in their lives, one immediately after school or college, just to see what you like, and one somewhere in your 30s to just take stock of, hey, how's life going? Let me see if I would like to continue in the same way or change something about it.
Hmm. Um, about your like life before you came to Orville.
Yeah.
What did you do during that time?
Well, I used to work in schools. I worked in two schools in India. One is in Dehradun. It was a boarding school, an all boys boarding school from grades 7 to 12. And another one was in Delhi, which is an international school. I worked as a counselor. So I would help teenagers address their mental health. I would do a lot of activities and classes and programs to students to be more aware of their privilege, of certain life skills that they can develop, things that you should be studying in school but you don't. I would kind of try to bring that into the curriculum.
so do you like the way like the education is based in Orville, and like what could have been better if it was based like on something else?
Mm, yeah, I've had a few weeks at Deepanam, and from whatever I've seen, I really enjoy the freedom that students have, and also how there's like a mix or a balance between freedom and responsibility. And as you guys know, like sometimes it can be a bit chaotic, but sometimes it's fun. And I think with that, there's a lot of agency that students develop in making choices that they want. There's no like authority or fear or punishment or reward, which I think is very refreshing. Because when you add that into the mix, people do stuff out of fear, not because they want to do stuff, or they do stuff for a grade or for a reward. And that's when learning gets compromised. So, yeah, these are some of my observations of the school here.
About choices.
Yeah.
At the start you said your sport of choice would be ultimate frisbee.
Hmm.
What is ultimate frisbee and what made you like it or get into it? What showed you about it?
Ultimate Frisbee is it's like a mix of football and basketball and rugby. It's a non-contact sport played 7 on 7. It's played in different formats. The most popular one is mixed gender, so women and men both play on the same team with a 4-3 ratio. It's also self-refereed. I've never seen a sport which is played at the international level where refs aren't on the field. So that was quite new. Like, hey, how is this even possible? Is it even like, do people are people like at the highest level, are they cheating or do they get away with stuff, or like, so there's this new element of fair mindedness which I really enjoyed and liked. Ultimate is also a sport which brings teams and communities together, because it's at the end of every game there's something called a spirit circle where both the opponents come together and sit like this in a circle and be like, hey, this is what I appreciated about you, and this is something which I didn't like so much, and which can be better. So I think Ultimate has this element of athleticism, of competitiveness, like a lot. I just love how a frisbee flies, and how we run, like, and catch it and dive for it. And I love the element of being with people in a way that's not only competitive, but there's also some sort of collaboration. There's also some sort of learning, and there's like it helps me become a better person. So that's what I like about it.
As far as I know, ultimate frisbee it's quite widely known sport, but not very many people know it.
Yeah.
How did you find out about it?
Well, in Bombay, I was studying in a college where my hostel was near the beach. And one evening, my senior said, "Hey, let's just go and play on the beach." I was like, "Cool." And they brought out a frisbee, and I was like, "Hey, what do you do with this?" Because I've never really played the sport. I've done some throws on the beach, and then suddenly there were two teams, and people were chasing the disc and running around, and I was like, "Whoa, this is so cool." And then once college was over, I just Googled Ultimate Frisbee Mumbai and I found a club in Mumbai. And that's where my journey began 10, 12 years ago.
So, as a psychologist,
Yeah.
what how do I phrase this question? What was the best part of your job?
Mm. The best part of my job is, I think it's when people or students have these insights in my room, like how we're having a conversation. It would be very similar, uh, but it would be a reverse. It would be you talking way more than me, and me just offering space for you to think about your life, asking some questions in the middle, but then helping you notice things that go unnoticed. And what I really enjoy about it is how students arrive at these insights or these understandings by themselves, and how that shifts something in them. So the best part of my job is when there is some sort of difference that they're bringing into their life, which makes them a better person, a better partner, a better student, uh, yeah, a better friend. So that's something I enjoy seeing, that transformation.
As a student who sometimes I run late on assignments, sometimes I'm super stressed.
Yeah.
As when a student has anxiety, what would be the best thing for them to do? Or
Mm.
What would you recommend?
What's worked well for you?
Just chilling.
Just chilling. Yeah. So I think it's different for different people, and sometimes just chilling is so important because when we get overwhelmed, just taking a break from it and going for a walk or doing some movement actually can be helpful. Um, it would depend on what exactly the anxiety is from and what is the intensity of it. So there isn't one correct answer. And I would say that it ranges from being able to name what you're feeling. Like rather than saying this is stressful, which is a state which you know from your hands, or your throat will become dry or you become sweaty and you know that something's up. But if you're able to name the emotion, if you can name it, you can tame it. So it's like, hey, I am worried. And it's normal to feel worried when you have a test or an assignment and you haven't done it. Or I am angry that my teacher doesn't really understand that I'm going through stuff, like. And so if you're able to identify what you're feeling, then you're able to deal with it better. So that's one approach. Another is if your anxiety is a lot, then also doing some sort of breathing and grounding techniques can help. Like just making sure that your feet are planted on the ground and you're observing your breath, then you're being more in your body. When you're more in your body, then you're less in your mind because a lot of us like to overthink and go like, so that can be a bit short circuiting at sometimes. So just getting back to your body.
If you could change one thing in the whole entire world, what would it be?
Oh man, one thing. I mean, my first reaction is violence and wars and why people resort to that. I think it's an inability to communicate and understand, and that's something I would really want to change. No violence, even between people in relationships, in families, and then it becomes larger things like countries. Yeah.
So, about your perspective. So, what about these last 6 months you've been in Orville?
Yeah.
So, for the last while, you've been doing the classes with Deepanam.
Yeah.
So, after your first week at Deepanam, when you did the class with the current year's Hope Groupers,
Yeah.
what made you want to come back for a second time?
Well, I really enjoyed my time with you all. I had a lot of fun uh, doing the Ultimate Frisbee Leadership Program. And that was the end of the school year. And I was like, hey, but we just began and now school is over. So Mahavir asked me, would you like to come back at the beginning? Because we want to do something in the first week of school that is not academics and not really classes. And he said he just wanted you all to have fun and do something which is which also has some meaning. So then we co-created a program. Gopa at Matram is somebody who I work with closely. Mahavir and the rest of the teachers, we came together and we said, hey, what do we want to do which can involve everybody and also have some sort of meaning? And then we arrived at the theme of interconnectedness, and we used the tree as an analogy to bring different elements into the school day every day. So I can expand on that if you like, but that was what uh, made me want to come back and do something more for y'all.
Over the 2 weeks that you've spent with the Hope and Faith students, what was your highlights of those 2 weeks?
Hmm. My highlights. I think one of the highlights that stayed with me was from the first week was when the class was outside in the football ground and there was a lot of chaos and sound. And I had shared in the beginning that listen, you all have to be a little quieter today because ATP is happening in the same time. And there was some sort of uh, conflict or interaction uh, where uh, it became quite chaotic. And I was like, folks, I've shared this with you all before that we can't go on like this. And that's when I stepped out and said, you all need to figure out how you want to be with each other. And I went for a walk. And when I came back, I saw that all of you were in a circle. I think it was you, Raya, who had that discussion disc. And you all were taking turns to share your points of view, also listen. And it was beautiful to see how the group kind of uh, addressed the problem together, because there were some people who were like very energetic, and then you'd be like, wait, let him finish. Or there was somebody who was very like, quiet or not sharing their point of view, and you would encourage them to speak. So I really loved how you all were able to do that all by yourselves, and I felt happy and proud of that moment.
Like, have you ever felt like these kids are too much and they have like no discipline?
Never. I thought you all have a lot of joy and energy, and I don't see discipline as like people who sit like quietly, and you know how it is in other schools where there's uniform and you have to do things in a particular way. I love that you all can sit how you want to sit. You can be where you want to be. You can lie down if you want to, and as long as there's an understanding between the teacher and the student, and between students and students, it's perfectly okay. Yes, there are times when there are certain boundaries that can be, like tested, or some sort of like limits that gets pushed. And as I think if there's some sort of respect and trust, then the teacher can bring the students back to focus. Like how I would be like, focus, 3, 2, 1.
Um, Over the last 2 weeks, what was the hardest part about them?
About what?
The last 2 weeks that you had with Hope and Faith.
The hardest part. Mm, the hardest part. Um, I think uh, we tried to do a lot of things all together. There was the challenge, the puzzle, there was the tree, there was the cycling trip, there was constantly looking for riddles that would make it hard for you guys. So I think the hardest part was making sure all of it was done in a timely way, because if we didn't, then y'all would not have got the final clue, and we had a very tight timeline for you to find the final clue of nine palms, but also not make it too easy. So um, just being able to balance all of that was hard, but there wasn't something particularly very hard that I experienced.
Hmm. In the second program that you conducted
Yeah.
for interconnectedness, why did you choose the symbol as a tree?
Well, we chose the tree because firstly, there are a lot of trees in Oroville. They're everywhere. They're in your school. And then we made meaning out of it. We chose the tree because the roots represent how we're rooted to, who we're rooted to, or where we come from, what kind of roots or grounds us, where we're from, our backgrounds, our interests, our nationalities. And then if you go up, the bark is what holds the tree together, kind of keeps the class together. What kind of agreements do we want to keep as a class that can make this a supportive environment? Then we looked at the leaves, which are very diverse. Like leaves look the same, but they're also different. So, can we find common things between each other, and also look at differences and see how that brings diversity? And then we saw what the branches do, which is lead into something. So, what are we hoping for? What are our aspirations for the year? So, I thought the tree, showed and portrayed a lot of that, and it was a metaphor that's alive. It's not like an object. It's something that breathes, and humans breathe. It's something that helps us. It's something that we can really connect with, and therefore we chose the tree.
Like, did you ever, like, compared to students outside you have like interacted with,
Yeah.
do you feel a special connectedness with the students in Orville, or it was similar?
Mm. I felt more connected to students in Audible because I felt the conversations were more open and direct, and there wasn't really like distance between a teacher and a student. Um, I've only had 2 weeks, so it's very limited amount of time, and I wish I had more. And I think with more time, there could have been stronger bonds and more trust built. But in the time that I had, I really enjoyed my conversations and the activities, and to see you all do so much in such little time.
Hmm. If you could change one thing about the modern schooling system,
Yeah.
what would it be?
Hmm. I would change the whole the whole rewards and punishments aspect, like not make everything competitive. I think if we can do a balance of competition and collaboration, it's pretty good, because a lot of schools focus on who is the best and who's got the best grades and who is on the top, and then what that does is it defeats the purpose of working together, because if you want to be on the top, you have to beat the people underneath you. You have to like really, it becomes very cutthroat. So that's something I would change. I would also remove punishments and fear-based approaches in learning, because I've been in schools where that's happened, and I think that just it really affects the child, it affects the student, and it also like it creates a very hostile, negative environment. Yeah,
If about Deepanam
yeah.
as a school, if you had to, what would you change?
Hmm. About Deepanam, uh, what would I change? Well, mm, don't really have an answer for that, because I don't know enough about all the all the elements of who all the teachers are, what the curriculum is. I'd say, I would say maybe like a little bit more structure, like a little bit, not so much, but a little bit structure in terms of having a like what is the aim of this month? Just having more intentionality about what we're doing in the month or in the year. What are we like looking to do? Uh, More projects. And I'd actually like to ask you guys, what's something that you would like to change in Deepanam,
I
since you all
think
have been there longer than me?
I think so. I would like to change the yeah, similar, more projects, more responsibilities.
Mm,
Personally, I'd have to agree with both of you. Something that, like a long term thing that you work up over a long time.
yeah.
It gives a more sense of finality once you're done with it.
Mm, nice.
So, what do you think the world would be like if, like the like around the world, all the schools had like Orwell based, uh,
Oh,
the concept on Orwell?
I think that's a really cool question to think about it. What would, because Orwell is supposed to be a place for like an experiment, but also seeing if we can replicate this in the outside world. What would it be like? Hmm. I'm not sure what the alumni of your school is doing, and that will be interesting to see. What do people do once they leave Oroville? I don't have enough information about that. I think if all schools were like Deepanam or like Oroville schools, I think there'd be uh, less emphasis on capitalism and materialism and trying to get more, like more money or more like acquiring stuff would be less in the world, and there'd be less of a craze to compete with each other. It would be more relaxed, more chill, and more peaceful, and also more purpose driven. Like people would do stuff that they liked, not do stuff because they need to earn a certain amount, or because they have to do stuff, or because this thing seems to be like a good thing. So I'd say people would make more responsible choices and do things that they enjoy and like. Yeah.
So, about your time in school,
Yeah.
what did you enjoy about your time in school?
Enjoyed playing cricket, and I enjoyed hanging out with my friends, and I enjoyed my principal, who was very mean but also allowed me to change my subject from chemistry to psychology. I think that was a huge decision to accept for her, and had a big impact on me. And I enjoyed sports. I enjoyed the outdoor trips. That's what stayed with me.
So, what do you think your adult life would have been like if you had studied in Deepanam at a younger age?
My adult life, what would it be like? Oof. What would it be like? I would have, I think I would have like maybe worked longer or been longer, been in Oroville for longer, like after school, maybe I would have studied something that was, uh, I think I would have maybe still studied psychology. Uh, hmm, but I think I would, what would it be like? I'd be healthier for sure. Because Oroville, like the food and the environment, really has a massive effect on who you are as a person, like health wise. Yeah.
Where did you grow up, and what effect did the place you grew up have on you?
I grew up in different places. I was born in Delhi, and then my folks moved to Oman. It's a country in the Middle East. It's a Gulf country, and there's a strong Indian community. And I was in an Indian school. It's a very beautiful town with an ocean, with a lot of Malayalis, because a lot of Malayalis they migrate and go to Oman. I'm half Mallu, and then we came back to India in 2005, and I lived in Delhi, Bombay, uh, Chennai, Dehradun, Orville, and now I'm moving to Bombay. So each place has had a different flavor and a different effect on me. Oman taught me to be very, I would say, like tolerant towards everybody, in the sense that there's acceptance for everybody. There isn't really like a divide of how people are, like how Indians are treated. The Omanis were very kind people, and I think that had an effect on my family, and that had an effect like, directly on me. Because if my family felt accepted over there, they would also have a positive uh, continuity on me. And Oman was like, there was a lot of play, and there was a lot of beach. That's why I also first played frisbee on the beach, just like threw it around. And then the different, like other cities brought in different aspects to it. I think like Bombay was where I discovered my love for psychology, and learned about relationships, because it was about being in college. And Dehradun was about working with students, and Chennai was about frisbee, getting better at it, and understanding different social spheres. Because over there I worked in a different context, in a slum, which was a fisherman community next to the beach. So yeah.
If like regarding your life as like a whole,
Yeah.
what would be like some key points that like mattered a lot in your life that you really that connected with you, or you make decisions of them, or you really they really mattered to you?
Hmm. Well, think some of the key points of my life. Yeah, I think in school, it's like dropping chemistry, switching to psychology was one. In college, after college, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I decided to work in a startup, which taught me what I don't want to do in life. So I realized very early on that I don't want to sit on a desk and be in an office, and that was an awesome decision, rather than like go through the whole thing or chase money. Another choice was doing this fellowship called the Clinton Fellowship, that brought me more connected to education and the social space. Working in a school in Dehradun was pretty awesome. And then coaching ultimate frisbee, being the captain of my club team in Delhi, taught me a lot about leadership. And then eventually being the national coach also was exciting and helped me bring the India team together. So yeah, these are some of the different choices that affect who I've become now.
About your fellowship, what did you do exactly in your fellowship, and where did you find out about it?
Where did I find out? I think a friend of my dad's suggested that I would like this. It's called the Clinton Fellowship for Service in India, and they select around 20 Americans and 10 Indians to come all together as a group and work in a space or an organization for 10 months based on your skill set. So let's say that you really love to code and you love to use your mind over there, how do you apply that in a social setting, in an NGO? Can you teach that to somebody? So for me, it was the first time I applied was right after my undergrad, and I got rejected, and I was like very sad about it. And they said that you're a good candidate, but you'll be even better if you have a specialty. And that's when I did my master's in psychology. I worked for a year, and then I came back, and then I joined. So my project was to empower the students in the fish, like the children of the fisherman community in Besant Nagar in Chennai, and teach them English. I was the after school program manager. A lot of the schools in Chennai aren't that amazing, so the students would rely on coming after school into this educational space, uh, learn over there, and also play frisbee on the beach, but get everyone together. And yeah, so I would work with the teachers, I would work with the parents, and work with students to help them with their well-being.
So did you have a like a turnover point in your life, like when your life fully shifted to something else?
Mm, fully shifted. I don't think I've lived so long for it to fully shift so much. I think it's been quite like gradual, and um, yeah, I don't think there's been like a massive shift. And I think because I've allowed myself to make choices that I like and resonate with, as opposed to having a fixed outcome and then try to do things to reach there. It's been very spontaneous and intuitive in how I live my life.
Where did you find your passion for teaching, for being with students and counseling them?
So there was a 10-day program that I was part of in the middle of Rajasthan. Are you comfortable? In the middle of Rajasthan, where there were students. I was working with this organization called Learn Today, and there were these students that had come from these Asia Pacific countries. Um, there were three students from each country, which made us a group of 30. And the project was, can we take this group of 30 people into a location, live there for 10 days, and see if we can like design a program that can instill curiosity, collaboration, and resilience. So through the 10 days, because it was a residential program, there was a lot of opportunity to connect with students. We played a lot of ultimate frisbee, which was like the highlight of the program, and we did activities that help people recognize how to manage conflict, how to understand their own privilege. And it was that experience of 10 days that made me realize, like, hey, I really like working with students, so why don't I do more of this?
So coming to an end for today, do you think you'll ever come back to Oral for a visit or actually stay here for longer?
Yeah, 100%. I will surely come back. The question is when, and I hope it's sooner than later.
So you have any questions for us?
I have plenty of questions for you guys. I'll keep it to three. My first question to you guys is, what was your experience of coming back to school post the summer holidays? What was your experience of the 1 week program?
My experience of the 1 week program. So I was very excited for the school year to start because during the holidays I was out of Orville for a while.
Yeah.
So I came back just a week before school started, and I was so happy for school. I was happy for school to start
Yeah.
because then I'd get to see my friends again, and yeah. But the program, so at first I didn't know who my new classmates were. I was
Yeah.
excited to meet them. I didn't know who they were. I was wondering if they would be friends or not. So after the 1 week program, I felt like very comfortable knowing my classmates. I felt like if I had to, I could talk to all my classmates openly.
Hmm. Nice. Awesome.
I think the back to school program was an amazing experience to like meet the other students and actually interact with each and every student
Hmm.
for future connections in the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So I think so it was amazing.
Okay. Awesome. My second question is something that you asked me, which I really liked, was what if the entire world had like schooling like Orville? what is your imagination of how the world would be? What would it be like?
Personally, I think people would be more content. People would be less. Uh, they won't have to search for as much validation through, let's say, finding a job, or like
Mm,
they'll be able to follow what they're passionate about, or to actually connect with themselves.
mm.
That's what I think it would be like.
Awesome.
I think so. The world would be like so much more peaceful. Like the wars would actually be like some people would be like, "Bro, this makes no sense."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cool. I agree. And my third question is, yes, if you could change one thing about your school or Auroville, what would that be?
I think so. I don't know. I think so. It's perfect actually.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Because your teachers are going to be listening to this interview later.
See, he still has a year left, 2 years left in school.
Mm.
So I still have one. So I'll answer out.
Okay.
So one thing that I would change in school,
Yeah.
probably I would want people to step up more. It's not more or less about the curriculum, more
Yeah.
or less about the students,
Yeah.
or for the teachers to be more, how do you say, push us a little more
Mm.
to step up, because it gives a whole different like view. Like this month I've been the editor and it's been actually quite fun.
Nice.
Before I used to be like, please, I don't want to be editor.
Yeah.
Please, I don't want to be editor. But now it's not that bad. It's quite fun actually. So this year I decided I'll try and take as many new experiences as I can.
Mm.
So that's why I think a little bit more of a push from the teachers.
Yeah.
It's not really on the teacher side, but more or less on the student side,
Yeah.
to try and pull for more,
Nice.
to
So
try and
nice.
experience more.
Awesome. So push and a pull from both
Yeah.
sides so that there's growth.
Thank you, Udayan.
You're welcome.
It was a great interview.
Thank you so much for interviewing me and taking out time from your very busy days.
Mhm.
And yeah, I hope to see you guys soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.